entitled. Man, do it again. They just said do it right. Well, do it right. Welcome to the greatest podcast of all time, which is entitled The New Day Feels the Power.
Baby! But the one, they never ask us to do anything. The one thing they asked, the one thing was to not have a long...
Get a tighter intro with the just we got one. Guess what? It's done. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
Y'all just watched it. We just watched it. That's a lie. We're recording this before it is aired. So thank you for joining us on this joyous occasion. We're going to talk about a lot of things involving the Rumble. Some stories, some heartache, and some hope.
Yes, and let me begin by saying we were all approached and asked about Rumble stories, and I had nothing. We know damn well this is all Kofi. Woods and I haven't done one interesting thing at the Royal Rumble.
Well,
No.
things have happened to me.
Like what?
Like, I got told I was in it, and then I wasn't in it.
No, you were not just told you were in it. You were the first one to officially announce
Yes,
being in the Royal Rumble.
I was told so. It was my first January era of being on WWE television, and I wasn't really doing anything, and I got told, hey, you're gonna go out on commentary or like do it backstage, whatever it was, and announce that you're the first person putting themselves into the Rumble. I was like, oh, this is awesome. I get to do that. I've never been able to do anything like this. Cool. So I go out and I say it, and then for like the next 2 or 3 weeks, whatever it is, I'm talking about how I'm going to be in the Royal Rumble. And then before the Rumble begins, they have everybody sit down. They have all the numbers. So they're giving it what? I don't know. Kofi's over here snickering.
It's funny to me. This is...
Oh yeah, it's funny to me. I got all these great Royal Rumble
yeah.
moments. I got all these fantastic
This is an individual
incredible
moment.
moments. But this is so funny to me that you never got a shot that year
Yeah.
when it meant so much to me. Let me tee about it.
You're already tee-heeing still. Come on.
Oh, boy. Is this not... Okay, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I feel
I'm sorry.
for you.
I'm sorry.
All I feel is sympathy and heartache.
To
This man
be
over here
honest, I was laughing about
crying,
something
laughing.
else.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, great.
Laughing about
Great.
something
Yeah, sip your drink. So, we had the Royal Rumble meeting. Everybody got what number they were, and at the end of it, I raised my hand and said, oh, I didn't get a number. So, I was like, oh, well, for the past 3 weeks, I've been on WWE television. Y'all's show, you have told me to go out and explain that I am in the Rumble. Looked over the papers again. Must have ran out of space. Maybe next year.
Was that the actual quote?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, terrible. What is... Who said that?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Move on.
Things. We're cool now. And then I don't think I was in it the next year either.
You weren't in the next
No.
one?
I don't think so. Because I remember talking to Devon about how he'd only been in, like, he was either in no Rumbles or has only been in one Rumble on his tenure with the company. And I was like, oh, maybe I can beat that record.
Of
Was
what?
that...
Of none.
Oh, you mean the other way?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, bless.
But wasn't that the year that they didn't bring you to it, and then your name was on the sheet?
That was the next year, yeah.
Oh.
So I was supposed to be in it,
Yeah.
but I never got travel. And then my phone was blowing up. And people asking where I am. I'm not in the meeting. It's like, yeah, y'all didn't tell me I was on the show. So like 2 years in a row, I just screwed under the Rumble. I was like, but I mean, let's be honest, like I wouldn't have been doing anything anyway but getting knocked out, so
Yeah.
it's fine. It's fine. It was fine. I've dealt with it.
That's the story of your pre-New Day career.
Yeah, it was real good.
Yeah, real
Things
nice.
were going great for me.
Yep. Real nice. And me, when I was asked for Rumble moments, I have none. Not one memorable moment. Not a single one. Not one elimination. I'm out here being big for nothing.
Yeah. At least I'm like smaller than you.
Right. So you got an excuse. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
no,
yeah. You have none.
Big for nothing.
No. What size for?
No.
Who we play for? Nobody got muscles for no reason.
For no reason. I will say one thing that I've often joked about, I might have tweeted about as well, is you see people make the mistake of trying to eliminate a lot of people. And it's not about eliminating others, it's about not being eliminated. So, 1 year, and I need to actually do this when I don't really care anymore.
We'll buy the stuff for you.
Yeah, 1 year, I'm gonna get real fat. I'm gonna bulk to Rumble. People like to cut to Mania, get real lean, get abs, so they can go out there shirtless and look good. Me, I'm gonna bulk to Rumble.
Yes.
And it's not gonna be a good bulk. It's gonna be a fat bulk.
My bulk right now.
Fat bulk. Where you're at
Right now, yeah.
That's what I want. And I'm gonna get real greased up.
Greased.
I'm talking about a layer of cocoa butter, a layer of baby oil, a layer of lotion, and then double. I'm gonna come back and hit all those layers again.
Okay.
Real greased up, real fat, and I'm gonna just slide in, running hard.
What are you wearing though? What are you wearing?
I gotta think about that. Probably less clothing than I am now.
Like this little trunks.
Little trunks, little baby tiny trunks.
Baby trunks.
Yeah. So I'll wear next to nothing, run in like I'm about to do something, and I'm gonna slide right to the middle and lay down, starfish. I'm gonna display my legs out, lay my arms out, and say, "Come get me, sucker!" Because it's gonna be real hard when I'm all greased up and real fat. Why do you say greased? That's how I pronounce greased. Greased up. I lay on Crisco too. I was gonna say, I got to add the Crisco too. Get that real slick. I said, "Come get me if you want."
I feel like out there under those lights, you might start cooking.
I might. Yeah, there's an episode of Seinfeld where Kramer was on the roof cooking after he y'all don't watch Seinfeld.
No.
I digress. But yeah, so that's my plan for the Rumble, which I have yet to execute. But
so that's your Rumble hope.
That's my Rumble hope.
Yes, there
but,
we go.
Up to now, as far as memorable Rumble moments, not a one. Not a single. I would say only, Assistant Cope. Mr. Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I call him Mr. Royal Rumble.
That's the thing. You realize where you're gonna fit in, and you go, let's help go.
you beef with Sean over the Rumble?
No, actually, Sean and I were on the bump together this morning talking about the Rumble. But no, we don't have any beef. I mean, he's actually won Royal Rumble, so as far as having the title, I feel like that should be a staple. It's almost like talking about football and like the Hall of Fame, and you haven't won a Super Bowl. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You haven't won a Super Bowl, like.
Right. You'd be like Dan Marino. That's cool. Dan Marino's so great.
Yeah.
Did a lot of great things. Put up some great stats.
Yeah.
I don't think that I should be called Mr. Royal Rumble. I don't feel comfortable.
What moniker would you like?
Yeah, not that.
What you got?
I don't know.
Senor Royal Rumble?
Senor Rumble.
Signore.
That's why they call him Senor Royal Rumble.
Well, he's never won. I didn't call myself Mister. I said Signore Royal Rumble. Oh, God.
But you have to give it a chef kisses every time.
Chef kiss. Yes. No, I mean, as my first Royal Rumble story is not interesting. They asked me if I wanted to be in it, or they just put me on the list, and then I was just in. So,
who's like, no, I don't want to be in the Rumble. I'm good.
You'd be surprised, right? Some people, don't like to wrestle. We won't go into that.
Oh, yeah, that's
you know what I'm saying? We won't go into that one. But some
we can't
people
tell that
don't like
story.
to wrestle.
Yeah. Okay, but give the people some backstory on how you came up with all these fanciful.
Well, so I think I get a lot of credit for being a guy who comes up with these innovative Royal Rumble moments and everything. The truth of the matter is, one year I saw John Morrison, as many people did, get hit from the apron, and he jumped all the way and kind of Spider-Man parkoured onto the barricade, and then looped all the way around, jumped back to the stairs, kicked Regal in the head, and then jumped back into the ring. And then the next year, he wasn't with the company anymore. So I said, I'll do something like that, And obviously the rule is that both feet have to hit the ground. So the first thing that came to my mind is like, how about a handstand? My feet won't hit the ground if I go that way. So, that kind of started it all off. So Miz,
Question. Had you done handstands before?
I used to do a lot of handstands, so this is actually what's not interesting, but I mean, I'll say it anyway. So this is very dull and boring, but I don't know. I think it's cool because I'm a nerd. But anyway, so when I was trying to do handstands earlier, it'd probably been a good decade since I had done an actual handstand, walked on my hands. And most people, when they walk on their hands, you walk a certain way. But if you watch my clip, I kind of walk backwards. Because when I was practicing it, I couldn't walk the way that people walk on their hands. I essentially walked backwards because it was easier for me. And that, like I said, it wasn't interesting, okay? But that was the variation of the handstand that I did. So, like I said, I get a lot of credit for doing these things, but so Miz is the one who threw my feet. And if he throws my feet too hard one way or the other, I just fall, right? So, if he was a big instrumental part of that, and I just walked back, and then we're off to the races, So cool. I became the guy to, what are you gonna do next year? And I said, I don't know.
A lot of pressure.
Okay, since your inspiration, Morrison has returned, is there gonna be some butting of the heads?
There might. If we're in there at the same time, I'd imagine we would be remiss not to make a moment out of that. I think there's definitely potential for a moment there. But I'm sure he wants his stuff back. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. He's always a real innovative dude. Even that match that he had with E, he did a lot of innovative stuff in there. Just little things kind of, I keep saying parkouring when I don't know how to describe what it is that he does. But like he did something where like I think he hit you with the knee in the corner and then like Spider-Man out through like the top and the middle row. So just getting out of the ring like that in a creative way is cool. So he's definitely an innovator. I would be surprised if he didn't want to do something innovative in the Rumble this year.
Do you think he's going to be your biggest competition for like cool stuff on the outside of the ring?
Honestly, I don't put any pressure on myself whatsoever as far as like competition needing to have like a moment that topped last year or a moment that's better than anybody. Like I just go out there and I'll do something and then it'll be good or not. Or if I mess then like I'll just get eliminated. You know, so everyone like asks me. It's not a competition to me. I just think that we all like, you know, we want to put on a good match for everybody watching.
Yeah, you know what was dope was when they added the Women's Royal Rumble, you kind of had competition in a way with some of the women. With AC does a bunch of cool stuff, and of course like Trin, Naomi, does a bunch of cool stuff as well.
And that so we actually, what did we watch? They did like the WWE Royal Rumble Rewind where they had me and E watch last year. His Rumble. And you know, what's the problem? It was bad, dude. It wasn't there. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. Like especially so because you know I was supposed to jump onto your back for the wheelbarrow spot, right?
Oh yeah.
So we kind of fell. Yeah. And then my foot like almost hit the ground.
But it did.
You know, but it didn't, and I kept it up, and then we finally got back to it, and that it's cool, you know, but not because then you had like Casey, you know, doing her handstand, a real handstand, walking around, twirling, and then going to the rope, and then you know to the corner, and then like wrapping her legs around, and then like sitting up. You know what I'm saying? So that was a lot cooler than what I did.
And I thought Gargano,
you know,
his first Rumble, he comes in. And we have like a tornado DDT that gets messed up. This real like sloppy.
Yeah.
So there's that. Samoa Joe comes in and throws his towel at me and then starts beating me up on his entrance. And then he eliminates me by just like thumbs me in the eye, I think, and then throws me out. Very lackluster. And you know when they bring you in for those rewinds or replays, whatever, because you have a memorable match or a memorable moment or something like, hey, to be proud of that people have talked about, hey, let's get them in to watch this again so people can relive this great moment. We said, why did y'all bring us in here for this? There are 30 people in this Rumble. You could have bring in Gargano for your first Rumble. Bring in Samoa Joe. Bring in people who actually did something. I had 0 eliminations. I did nothing cool. Stuff got messed up. Why did you bring me here for this?
Look, but the whole thing. And then even before I did something with Dean Ambrose, and my leg almost hit the ground too. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I don't know. I've done a lot of like. Or had more impressive moments than the one last year. So like, and then on top of that, Casey is like, oh, hold my, this is how you do it. And then Ember Moon too. You know, I feel like a lot of people had like cooler moments.
And I remember us talking about doing that. We're like, does this work? Is this anything?
Yeah. And legit, what? I think doors had already opened by the time
so
we
could try it.
I'll practice it. You know, so. It was what it was.
And here's one of the problems too, is now you're approaching almost a decade of having to come up with a new innovative spot. And we talk about wasting. It's not wasting, but you've used some cool innovative moments in other battle royals. Like Andre before, we had, when we were trying to get off the ground as a trio, it was you and I in Battleground was the pay-per-view in Tampa. And we did something because we were trying to establish that we had a connection. And I think you ended up jumping. You got hit and then jumped off the apron onto my shoulders.
Cesaro came for a boot, I think, and I jumped out of the way to avoid his boot and landed on your shoulders.
And I was already eliminated on the floor. Right. So you've already kind of used other spots. I mean, you always get, I always like get a little tickle around like January-ish when I'm with you and someone will come up to you and say, hey, you got that Rumble spot planned yet? So I know we go through this every single year. All this pressure. Yeah. Quit pressuring my man.
And especially like the fans like, hey, what kind of cool tricks you gonna do? And the trick is winning.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Like, that's what I want to do. You know what I mean? Let's win. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't have to like do these things. You should be able to stay in the middle of the ring and win and have your hand raised at the end. Like, that should be the ultimate goal. Not what you gonna do out there. And like literally the day after Rumble, that's when I get asked, you know? But like I said, man, I really don't like, either I'll come up with something or I won't, you know, and then I'll get eliminated like everybody else. I put legit 0 pressure on myself. So
I feel like maybe we put more pressure on ourselves to try to think of something.
Now that we're all together, we're in the ring at the same time, now we feel like we have to help them. But I feel like we should run down some of these moments.
Yeah, Kof, what you got? What do from your favorites?
Okay, so I think so 2013, okay, this was where the pogo chair, if you will, when this came out, so people, said this in a few different interviews, that I used to room with Hornswoggle pretty much every weekend.
How was that? That's a whole hour.
A lot of people wouldn't put themselves in that situation. But, you know, someone's got to bear the cross. You know what I'm saying? But he was always the guy that I would run ideas off of and bounce ideas as far as like Rumble is concerned. And I couldn't think of one that year. And he goes, "Oh, what are you gonna do? Get a pogo stick from out under the ring?" And like laughing. I'm sitting there in the hotel. I'm like, wait a minute, you might be onto something. So legit, get out of bed in the room, you know, and get on one of the chairs and lock it in, and then just start like hopping on it. And then I'm just like, oh my God, we can make something out of this, you know? And this is legit like the night before the Rumble. I swear to God, like people ask if I think about these things all year, I do not. The idea will come or it will not come, you know? So the next day we get there early, go over there and start trying to do it. And sure enough, it works out, you know? So we figure out a way to do it. And again, getting into the fact that I get a lot of credit. So Tenzai was the one who like carried me over there. I didn't jump from the apron to the table. Tenzai carries me over and like puts me on and then leaves. And then I get JBL's chair and I get to hopping, you know? And if you notice in the video, it's like tipping forward a little bit. So on the second hop, the seat wasn't locked in, so it tipped forward. I'm like, oh. So imagine like if so that's the second year, right, of Rumble spots. If I had fallen,
oh my God,
that would have been it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have had 8 more you know?
Yeah.
Come on, man. So I hop, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna tip. So now I gotta like alter my hop. So now I'm like baby hopping, and then the chair starts spinning too. So I'm like, okay, now I gotta hop sideways. And mind you, it's not a hardwood floor. This is like, you know, squishy, gym mat, whatever it is. So now I'm backwards. Now I'm hopping backwards, and I finally get there, and I'm just like, oh my God, like I made it, and everybody is, you know, hopping. You know, everybody's hopping. You know what I'm saying? So I get up there, and then got kicked out by Cody Rhodes. Right away.
So like, how different do you think your career would be had you fallen out of that chair?
I don't know, dude.
It makes a difference.
Well, maybe. I mean, I feel like when you talk about Royal Rumble, like, not to like toot my own horn, but everyone's like, oh, I can't wait to see what Kofi's gonna do.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have been the case. It would have been like, oh, you remember that time Kofi bust his ass? What was this dumbass doing? You know? Get your dumbass in the ring, you know? Hopping on a chair. What you doing? You know? But luckily, it worked out, you know? And here we are.
And that's one thing. So okay, so with, I don't call them stunts, with the stunts that we perform sometimes, I don't think people realize the level of random occurrence that actually happens. So like, you tried this with like a locked chair and you attempted it and it worked perfect. Mm-hmm. But then as soon as the cameras are on, now everyone's watching, so the one that matters, everything's different. And you still complete this. I don't think people realize how much that actually happens, especially in situations like this, where the things are so intricate. Like if one thing it goes awry, like it's all down the drain. So like just watching you go through some of this stuff earlier in the day, it's like you do the jump like once or twice, like, okay, I'm good.
Right.
And we're watching like, I hope you did that during the show.
And then everyone's high-fiving afterwards, but not having any idea of like, it wasn't supposed to be that dangerous.
Yeah. right.
So yeah, no, just like it worked out.
Yeah, but just in general too, we'll often have ideas. It's like, oh, I don't know if anyone can really do that. Oh, Kofi can do it.
Yeah.
Because yeah, being so absurdly athletic, I just think, I don't know if this can be done, but yeah. And then he'll just like kind of get in the ring, mess around with it. Yeah, I can do this.
That's like, okay, so that time that I sprained my ankle.
I knew that's where he was going.
Of course.
I see it on his face. He's just howling.
Because I was like, do I talk about this? Yeah, it's time to talk about this. So there was a move that I was trying to do where essentially, I think like if I'm in the corner and you run at me, when I like kind of like kip up out of the corner over you, I can't even understand how it works. But anyway, I was trying to do it and Kofi saw me, yeah, you can do it, just do it. Just do it. It's fine. You can do it. You're athletic enough, just do it. And as soon as I landed, I was like, well, sprained my ankle. And
I remember.
Yeah. Like, no, seriously, like I can't walk.
That's what put you in the boot, right?
Yes, that put me in the boot.
Yeah, when you had the New Day boot. I remember being shocked that happened. Because I was like you didn't want to do it at all. It was like such peer pressure. Like, come on, man, just do it. You can do it. Go, man, just do it. It's
I was ready to walk away.
Believe in yourself, you know? And you went and did it and like sprained your ankle. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I was like, I've never listened to Kofi.
Yeah, do it. You think everyone's like you.
Yeah, exactly.
You just do it, yeah.
That's the day I realized that Kofi doesn't understand what normal people go through on like an agility level type of thing. We can't just do things. Regular people aren't like you, Kofi.
Come on, man.
It's a different situation, different beast. But okay, so what about let's see. Rusev throwing you out the rosebuds, little crowd surfing.
Yeah. And again, like, I didn't do anything. Like, I just got thrown over the top rope and I got caught by a crowd of people, the rosebuds, and then they put me back in the ring. So like everyone thought like, oh, cool, Kofi, you didn't get eliminated, but I did nothing. I got thrown over the top, got put over there, and then the funnier part was like Adam Rose went to go do it, and they didn't catch him. You know? So when Rusev caught me and then put me on the apron again, I didn't do anything, you know. And then kind of like tightrope walked from the barricade and jumped from the barricade back to the ring. I think that might be the most nervous I've been, you know, having to make that jump. And then also the X factor being the people, because what if you had somebody out there who wasn't a Kofi Kingston fan?
Oh, yeah.
What if he hated me? What if he hated me for all these years? He's like, if I ever get the chance to hit Kofi Kingston, I'm gonna do it. And now he's sitting there right next to the barricade. And now there I am. And as I'm about to run out, he puts his hand out, or even just like fakes, you know, tries to like, fake do something to me, and I fall over. Like, that was the X factor for me. Was
talking about the guy, the one dude in the Mets jersey?
One dude in the Mets jersey. That's right. Yeah. He's got this little soft mustache, you know, and weak ass mustache. You know, shaved head, and every single time he gets a seat in the same spot to the left of the ramp, and we'll come out having to cut promos down the ramp, and he's sitting there, Kofi, you suck, Kofi, you suck. And I'm trying to cut this promo, and I'm just like, I don't want to put him over, you know, I don't want to acknowledge him, and he's just over there just squawking in my ear, you know, and if I acknowledge him, then he wins, you know what I'm saying? So for years, man, years and years, you know, just always in the same spot every time we're in the Northeast, but I won him over. You know, when Kofi Mania came around, he done jumped on the train, you know, so we won him over in the end. But yes, it can happen, man, like what if it was him? And he was over there, you know? Right. Then he would have tripped me up, and then I would have been, you know, eliminated. And that would have been.
Imagine that, him pump faking at you, and you stupid and breaking it.
But yeah, man. But I was nervous about that because anything can happen, man. Like that area is so thin. Like when you run sprints, you have a track to do it. You don't have to run on like this, like, you know, 1 foot, a diameter space. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, just we made the jump. And when you saw me celebrate, it was like a shoot celebration. You know what I'm saying? Like I just got right in the ring like real quick too. So, yeah, it was cool, man. It was cool just to be able to do something that hadn't been done before.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I remember watching that all day in rehearsals, thinking this is far.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're making it when you make it, but it's like, if something goes a little bit awry,
especially like you said with the fans. So like people are resting their arms on that thing. Like there could be sweat, there could be residue from like a cup, condensation, like anything. Like there's so many factors that don't get taken into account.
Right.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah, and a couple of times in rehearsal too, like I barely made it. So I'd get to the apron and I'd have to like grab the rope to hold myself. But luckily, you know, when the adrenaline was flowing, I could have gone, not to the middle of the ring, but you know, to the commentator's table. But you know, we had a lot of adrenaline.
All right, so 2014, Andre the Giant Battle Royale.
The Dre.
That's what we call it. We call it the Dre. Yes,
Dre. Yeah, Dre. The Dre for those of you listening. Okay, so Cesaro tosses you over the turnbuckle. You turn in midair, and you're able to land on the bottom stair.
Yeah.
That was less scary than the other one?
It wasn't scary. Cesaro, anytime I'm in the ring with Cesaro, I have no fear. So, yeah, I remember, like, trying that a couple times and, you know, not making it quite to the bottom stair or going too far, you know? But when game time comes around, like, Cesaro was always on. And again, like me, I didn't do anything. I ran over to him and he threw me out of the ring. I mean, I just turned in the air and landed exactly where he threw me.
Oh, Jeff.
You know?
Well, Jeff.
I mean,
yeah, that's what you always do. You always do. Oh, I didn't do anything. What you
it's fine.
That's not the difficult part.
Yes, it is.
No, but if he throws me too far, then I go flying.
I applaud you for acknowledging the other people involved in it. It takes two to tango and all that. But don't try to fool us. Okay, don't sit here on this day and try to fool us like anyone could just do it. I ain't buying it. I ain't buying what you selling.
We need a new product.
Come on, man.
Yeah, so of course, yes, it's very, very skillful of Cesaro. He's very strong, very accurate, but you have to land. That's the thing, you have to land, keep your balance.
but even like so going into this Royal Rumble, the Dre, I remember I think Jamie Noble was the like head producer on it or something like that, and then he came up to me. He's like, "Oh, so what are you gonna do? They want you to do a Kofi spot." I said, "A Kofi spot? What do you mean? This isn't the Royal Rumble."
No, you're not giving that to me twice a year.
This is the Dre. You know, I gotta save these. I'm trying to be here for a while. It's like, no, they want you to do a Kofi spot. So now, you know, we get there that day, and now we have to start thinking about like what's possible, and somehow, some way, we came up with that idea, and then luckily ended up being in the ring with Cesaro of all people. I mean, like I'll put him over to the end of the earth. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it just you know that everything is gonna work out when he's in there.
No, I always think Cesaro and his strength. I think at the time when we first started New Day, I was probably about 305, 310, and I would just suggest things. But I always love with him doing the drop down spot. So something where I drop down, I go for the leapfrog, catches me out of midair like it's nothing. Just every time. He's the most physically impressive man in wrestling, I think, because he can do it all. He's quick enough and agile enough to do lucha stuff. He can base for you. He can do springboards. Also, you talk about how you have no fear when you're in the ring with him. I have the opposite sometimes. I have all the fear because when I'm there, times when he'll just run at me. Like it's something we didn't even talk about. I remember we had a tag match, and I think he did something where I was like selling near the table, the announce table, and he just runs at me and gives me a European. And my eyes are wide open because this man, when he has a pump, he'll still look impressive when he first comes out, but mid-match, get this man sweating, get the muscles to engage, get him oiled. See this man with a pump mid-match and the adrenaline starts running. Oh boy! What a frightening human being! It's
And he'll hit you from wherever you are. So like
anywhere.
I think it was also in the Dre. I was legit laying on the bottom rope, facing the ramp, and I see him springing into the ramp. I'm like, man, again, like he looks great. And he gets in the ring, and I said, oh, he's coming at me. And he hits me with like a downward angled uppercut that like looked like I snapped my neck off the bottom rope. And he just looked at me afterwards. He hit me and gets up. Man, smug. What a terrifying human. I was thinking of the story when he chased you, E, at the house show, and you crouched next to the barricade like a terrified animal.
I was a heel. We were heels at the time, and I was like, I can either bow up to this man, but I shouldn't as a heel, or I can cower. But my natural instinct, I didn't even think like wrestling. My natural instinct is this man who is shredded right now, who's about 235 pounds, running like the wind. I'm gonna just find a corner.
But you were trying to get over the guardrail and you couldn't make it.
So I had about 2 seconds to try to make it to the guardrail, and I think there was either a security guard in the way, or maybe my footing was a bad. But I tried to hop on this guardrail, knew I wasn't gonna make it, so I just slowly melted down into this corner. I said, please, sir.
We look over, and E is crouched in like the fetal position, looking up at him like what? Can I have support, sir? So I was just Jack standing over him, just like breathing like a dragon. Like, what is going on?
I just laid down. Arn was our producer for that, and I can't say what he referred to me as, but it was very funny.
Called him a 300-pound baby.
Yeah, baby was the word. Sure. Baby was the word.
300 pound.
You can't be out there looking like a 300-pound baby.
You gotta put with baby.
Can I talk to you, son? You're looking out there like a 300-pound baby. So, y'all see anything wrong with this?
Got your muscles over here. Just crouch on the ground.
The match is good now, but she's looking over here like a 300-pound baby. Let me talk to you, son.
It's a new day. Yes, it is.
So we go 2016.
Yeah.
Kane clothesline over the top, and you land on E's shoulder.
Oh, yes.
I like to point out again, I did not do anything. I got clotheslined over onto E's shoulders, and then you, E, took a lap around the ring with me on your shoulders. You're doing all the work, huh?
Popcorn and drinks. We did have popcorn.
Yeah, we had popcorn, we had drinks, you know.
That was when we weren't in that Rumble, were we?
Oh, you're right.
We were just there.
Okay, so this is the Royal Rumble. I believe that we worked the Usos, so we had the tag match with the Usos. And then afterwards, Kofi alone was in the Rumble.
When I wasn't in it.
Right, so you didn't do anything that night.
I wasn't in the tag match. I wasn't in the Rumble.
That's right.
Why did they do that?
You were blowing that trombone, no?
I was.
Blow that horn.
I remember us going, wait, so clearly it's me and Ian in the tag match and Kofi in the Rumble. Like, oh no. It's Kofi in the tag match and then Kofi again in the Rumble.
Yes.
But all three of us in the Rumble. Oh, no, just Kofi.
No, sir.
So then I'm in the tag match. No, it's Kofi. So, okay. That's right. Thanks. And then we went about our day.
Man, that was it.
That was a hell of a day.
Yeah, it was a great day, but you're one of the greatest floor workers of all time.
right.
You worked that floor.
I will say the greatest. I'll say the greatest.
Well,
That's
okay.
Who's better?
I don't know. It's another conversation.
I'm the greatest floor man of all time.
All
Okay.
time.
All right.
Name another.
We'll make a list.
Here
Think
comes
about
Stack
it.
New Day Pod. Name another. I dare.
Yeah. Here comes everybody. Well, actually, yeah, relax.
You worked the floor very well.
Inanimate object psychology is my specialty. Let's go. All right, next Rumble. 2017. Baron knocks you from the ring post, but you hang on. Then you come back in for Trouble in Paradise. Was this the one with the...
This the one that looked
chest
like your
shot?
chest caved
Yeah.
in. You did this during rehearsal, and I said, why would you do this? You don't have the padding that I have.
Right.
That's not a shot
That's the
either.
thing. Yeah.
But that's all sternum. And
Yeah.
the top of those posts, these are the new posts. A
That hurt.
few years ago, they changed them over to the thicker post, and it's more flat at the top.
Flat.
But
Like
I
the metal...
This is one of the benefits of not having pectoral muscles.
Is it?
You see? Yeah.
I feel like padding would help you.
Way better.
But so it looked like it touched me. It did not touch me. It
What was
did
that
not.
noise then?
My hands.
I'm not buying. I gotta watch it.
Come on, cuz I'm telling you.
I remember
Wow.
us watching it.
But-
Go,
oh, I know, because I remember I came back, and I think actually Taker had pulled me aside too about like not registering it. I was like, oh, I had no idea because I didn't feel anything, you know. So I just literally jumped back and held on. If I were to have had a chest like yours, sir, or a chest like yours, sir, you know, that might have been you know, pectorally. I don't want to say decapitated, but a pectosectomy, you know, right?
Pectosectomy.
Pectosectomy, right? I would have my pec would it would have been taken off, you know, but it wasn't. That's why I don't have an internal chest, you know.
internal chest.
Yeah. I have the outer. I have an outer chest. I don't have the internal.
Yeah, let's
2018.
The chest of the future, y'all.
The next year.
Uh-huh.
So, Jinder throws you over the top rope. And who slides in to make sure your foot does not touch the ground?
That'd be you.
That was me. And then, who came in with a plate of pancakes to transfer the foot?
That was me.
And then, who tossed Cole back in the ring with a basket toss?
Basket toss.
My dogs.
This is where your cheerleading background
Came
would
into
be
play.
really
I knew one day wouldn't be able to use it. So I showed E how to do a basket toss. And we had Kofi in the basket, and we said 1, 2, down, up. Launched him over top of Jinder Mahal. And I'll let you...
I mean, yeah, that was pretty much it.
That was it, yeah.
I mean, you know, that was it.
That was it.
I was
let's
telling
see-
the whole story, and it's not
but,
funny.
but it was your idea, and then also let's talk about the symbolism. You know, the storytelling aspect, us being a family. You know what I'm saying? And for me to get thrown out, but you come sliding in, and then note the point. You were on the ground on your back, and you were pointing. Oh, you gotta win. I pointed down. I said, "My dog, you my dog." So that's the, you know what I mean? That's the bond that we share. Okay? To me, that's the highlight. Not the basket toss is cool. But the brotherhood right there, E comes sliding in with the pen, and now we're all getting on the same page, and the cauldron gets them bubbling, you know?
Storytelling.
Okay, put your foot in here, we're gonna get you back in there, we're gonna do this. Okay, let's go. Get in there, Coach. Oh, get into it. You know, I do a little dance,
Shimmied on
you know what I'm saying? And then Jinder came out, and then, this might actually be the best part, the pelleting with the pancakes.
Oh, we did.
Oh, the pancakes.
Finally.
You fool, you know? Pelleting.
Finally. I'll let you tell the story.
So you're hanging onto my back, and Primo's trying to pry my fingers loose like a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Oh, yeah. I got launched onto your back. I'm on your back like a backpack, you know, and then Primo's trying to, you know, plug your fingers out like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. It was literally one by one. And then, oh, no! And I want to point out again, I didn't do anything. That was your strength. That was you holding on.
Very strong.
Holding on. Strength. You got the grip, you know? And we go backwards, and I say, no, Woods, you can do this. You pull yourself back on.
This one was weird.
It was weird.
The ones involving me are weird.
They're not weird. No.
In 2020, how are you feeling about things this year at the Rumble?
Feel pretty damn good.
Good.
Feel pretty damn good.
And if you're listening to this, you know that
You know.
Kofi won.
That's right.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Congrats to you.
You know.
So you're going to
We
WrestleMania.
are. Well, we are going to WrestleMania because you know the damn rule, y'all. When one of us wins, we all win. Not
We
gonna
all-
jump in on
we all
that.
win.
Come on.
We all
Yeah, let them know to count my days as tag team champion.
Yeah. Whoever's keeping the records.
Were any of you attendees of the Royal Rumble?
It's a big no, sir. That's
Yeah.
a big no.
Yeah. Definitely not. But I'm always impressed about like how much hype the Royal Rumble gets. You know what I'm saying? I feel like probably second to Mania, Rumble's like the one because of just the unpredictability. You know, like you never know who's gonna show up, and you know what I mean. Like I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I'm impressed by the hype.
You know what I enjoy? I enjoy the Rumble parties. I think we often tweeted stuff. I've seen some people who have these like tattoo parties. So if you pick a certain number, I think, and if you get that number, you have to tattoo that person somewhere on your body.
Ooh, I'm not doing that.
I've seen that before.
If they win or just regardless?
No, like, if you draw 25, and whoever comes out at 25, that person is on your body.
So everybody at the party is getting a tattoo regardless?
I believe so. I've seen this. I don't know how common this is, but I've seen this.
I'm not doing that.
That's wild.
Well, it's a thing people do. But Rumble parties seem cool.
I think
You get invested.
having that element of like being able to pick the numbers and
Right.
you know you go with whoever comes out at that number. I think that type of situation makes for the fun parties and why people love it so much. Because like other pay-per-views besides like back in the day like Taboo Tuesday, that's like the only other like real like interactive one.
Right,
This one feels super interactive.
Right.
But I think that's what people gravitate towards.
Oh yeah, you know this is a tangent here, but remember for a while they were doing the thing where fans would vote on. You would have two options for a match.
Yeah.
And fans would. It was a shoot vote.
Yeah.
And you didn't know till minutes before, which that was horrible.
I don't think a lot of people realize that it was a real thing.
For like 3 matches.
That was horrible. I have one of my worst memories in wrestling is having a match. I was one of those deals where I was definitely in the match, and it was either Jack Swagger or Del Rio. And this is definitely before the New Day, obviously. But I thought, so at the time, I think I was a heel, and Del Rio was babyface. Swagger was a heel. So I thought, okay, people are gonna want him. Del Rio was popular at the time. They're gonna vote for him. So I was like, let me spend the majority of the time putting a full match together with Del Rio, and have a skeleton with Swagger, because I can't remember everything and don't have time. And of course, these jackasses hate Swagger. So we're out there, not for, hey, it's a little like, 4-minute TV matches real quick, whatever. It's a 2-seg. It felt like it was 8 and 8 with a 6-minute break. I'm out there forever, just cursing all these people. Why would you do this? And a heel match is hard enough. It's difficult enough. Who's gonna put a heat on who? Who's gonna sell? Who's gonna blow a comeback? So we just up there, and you know it's Swagger. He'll hit you now. He'll tag you. So we just up there just hitting each other.
But isn't that what you like? Slapping meat.
I love a little slapping meat, but there's got to be a point. There was no point. We out there just doing things to each other. Match psychology? Nope. Structure? Nope. With no plan either. We didn't have time to plan this. We talked for 5 minutes. That was horrible. I just kept thinking, why would people do this? I'm in Gorilla ready to go out. Why would they do this to me? And I'm still new. I'm still trying to figure it out. You know, I've been on the road for like a year or so. Still trying to get my feet wet. This is a horrible experience.
Wasn't there a year though that like the voting got messed up? Where like I forget who it was, like Evan and some. It might have been the same thing. That might be why they ended up voting for that, because the votes got counted like a match ahead of where they were supposed to, or something like that.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, gosh, I wish I could go back and remember who. I think it was Evan Bourne supposed to wrestle somebody, and everyone thought it might have been like Evan and Ray or something like that. I don't know, and everyone thought for 100% this is the match that you want to see, and then for whatever reason it ended up being like Evan and somebody else. So the same thing happened to them where they had to put a match together, you know, on the fly, and just what matches are gonna happen.
Or cut the voting off an hour before. Give us some time to put a match together. Or lie. We do it all the time. If you don't know it, just lie like you always do. I mean, this company would never lie to you. They would never. I'm lying about them lying, actually. I don't know what this has to do with the Royal Rumble, but
No, it's because you're eliminating things that you don't like, you know? That's it. So as far as Rumble surprises, because you've watched them, you've been in them, is there somebody that was like a huge surprise for you that you were like geeking out for? Or just surprised to see them at all at the Rumble?
Yeah, I can't think of one for me. I think when I was in the ring, Booker T came back as King Booker. That was really cool. I mean, I didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't know. But again, just to be in there and feel, you know, same thing with like us bringing out the Hardys at WrestleMania, right? Where like nobody else knows, but the reaction of Booker coming out, you know, and just being in the presence of that, I think was really cool.
One thing, this is not really a me story, but one thing that I always did enjoy is, so for Wade Barrett every year would tweet, because it would pop him that Papa Shango was entering the Royal Rumble like a week or so before, and he would just do it to pop himself. He did this for a while, and then one year, Godfather did come back, but he had no idea, and Wade got pulled aside and got in trouble. They said, why would you spoil it? But he didn't know. He was just trying to pop himself.
He didn't tell him, like, look at my track record.
I think he tried to explain it, but, you know, at that point, no. God. Shout out to Charles Wright, by the way.
Charles Wright, man.
What an entertainer. Obviously, like, one near and dear to my heart. I love Papa Shango. He's incredible. So, I'm waiting for him to come back as Shango. Like, for real.
Oh, so you can do the son thing and just leave us. You want to be a son? Okay.
I won't leave you.
Xavier Shango.
It'll work out. It'll work out. And then the trick for Kofi will be, I'll love it to make you levitate.
Oh, I'm like, where was this? You guys suspended me above the ring for all these years. Where was this? I was waiting for my daddy to give me my powers.
All right, so thank you guys for listening to this episode of the world's greatest podcast ever, which is entitled The New Day. Feel the power. Hope you guys had a good time watching the Royal Rumble, doing your Rumble parties, probably watching us on Watch Along, all that type of stuff. Remember, every Monday you get a new episode of this incredible podcast. If you want to be part of the conversation on socials, use #NewDayPod to jump in. Tell us how you feel. Tell us what you like. Nothing negative, because we don't need that in our lives.
Get it out.
You can follow me, Xavier Woods, on social media at Xavier Woods PhD. That's Instagram and Twitter. You can catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Austin Creed. You can catch me everywhere, because I'm doing everything.
You can follow me on social media at True Kofi on Twitter and The True Kofi on the Instagram.
And I am at WWE Big E on Twitter and Instagram, but I don't care about any of that. All I care about is Cameo. Book your boy for your quinceañeras, for your birthdays, for all your shout-out needs. That's all I care about now. All this I'm doing right now is just to set up my Cameo account. That's it. I take bumps to set up my Cameo. I do this podcast only to set up my Cameo. All right? That's what it's about now. That's why I wake up in the morning for Cameo. Thank you.
Well, if you guys need any special messages, guess you guys know where to catch Ian. Speaking of, anywhere you do receive the podcast, anywhere you subscribe, anywhere you follow it, make sure you're giving us 5-star reviews, telling people how great this podcast is. And if you have friends that don't know how to get podcasts, show them. Give them the tutorial. Give them the tutorial so they can also hear our sultry voices coming out of their speakers every Monday morning. And if you don't want to go through the whole process of doing it for them, just tell them to Google it. Google The New Day. Feel the power. And then they'll be on the information superhighway to hearing our sultry tones.
Yes. Yes, Android users, follow the show on Spotify, Stitcher, Pandora, Google Podcast, or wherever you may get your podcasts, so you never, ever miss an episode.
This has been an original WWE podcast. The following program is an original WWE podcast.
It's a new day! Yes, it is!
Welcome to the greatest podcast of all time, which is entitled The New Day. Feel the power. Baby! Yeah! Remember, stay part of the conversation using #NewDayPod on all your socials. We are at South Beach in Loomis Park. Thank you very much to Fox for letting us set up here to host this podcast. We got a nice space. We're very close to the sun. We're looking at beach volleyball court right now. There's just an earthquake.
You're looking at beach volleyball?
I am.
Okay, I'm looking at the cheeks.
Cheeks.
Yeah, they got prime cheeks here on South Beach.
Yeah. We saw someone drop a bottle of Hennessy.
We did. did.
That's
And
right.
he didn't even pick it up.
No,
He just laughed.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Let's get to our fantastic guest.
Mm-hmm.
Greg! Jenny!
Let me stop you. You gotta put some respect on the man's
Respect
name.
on the whole
This man is a two-time Pro Bowler. This man played for the Packers, the Vikings, and the Dolphins. And this man got a big, fat, luxurious ring.
Wow.
For winning the Super Bowl.
Look at that. Look at it. My God, it's heavy. It's heavy. My God. God. My God. Break this table. Break this table.
You feel me? Can't help it. Just a couple of champs here already. You feel me?
Yeah, you know
what I'm saying? Yeah. That's where we at. Yeah.
All of it is heavy because heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Yes, it is. Talk to him.
Yes, and speaking of heavy things, you lift heavy things.
I do lift heavy
on a
things.
regular basis. Very fit, man.
Very fit.
Talk about your path and your goal on social media, showing people all this fitness stuff, inspiring them.
Trying to, man. I'm trying to stay fit. Trying to continue this competition, competitive drive that we all got. Got to keep it. Can't let it go. Can't let it fade away. Real true story. So I told my wife. I said, babe, you've never felt me soft and mushy. The goal is for you to never ever feel me soft and mushy. You feel me? So I gotta keep it rolling.
So you're doing physique competitions
I'm
now?
doing physique competition. So if you know anything about the bodybuilding circuit, there's different classifications. So there's men's physique, which is the entry level, which is why yours truly is entering in on the rookie level.
Right.
And then there's classic physique, which you pretty much showcase upper body and legs, and then you got a couple poses on stage, and then there's bodybuilding, Mr. Olympia stage platform, and they just, speaks for itself.
Right.
Mr. Olympia. So I'm entering into men's physique. I got an actual competition in May coming up, first competition, so I'm excited. Try to get my pro card. Let me rephrase that. I'm gonna get
There we go. Let them know.
Stamp it, baby.
Speak it to reality.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Speak that into the existence.
And
So
you're into it too because you just ordered your meal and you were, adamant about the amount of grams
absolutely.
of rice, right? And she kind of messed it up and you got serious with her and you said whatever the number 325
Yeah,
grams
I need you
of
on
rice.
point.
So he is in, you're locked in, bro.
Hey, so this morning I made sure I packed my little Tupperware with me, and I didn't know I was gonna be out this late, or I'd have grabbed one more. I had two, and so we gotta make sure I'm fueling, because that's the most important thing. You guys know that. You gotta eat. If you don't eat, you don't have the energy, you don't have the fuel to do what you do, and that's where the body starts to transform. Everybody thinks it's in the gym, even I, because a lack of understanding of how to train and why we train and what we're trying to actually do. We think all the work comes in and the muscle is built in the gym, and it's not. It's torn down in the gym and it's built with what you fuel your body with. So that's why I was
So
like,
are you
hey,
saying that I need to stop eating chocolate chips or chocolate ice cream with Doritos?
I mean, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you what to stop doing at all. I can only suggest it. And if you don't like what I say, then you just say, no, Greg, that ain't gonna work. And I say, okay, all right.
So he just tore his Achilles a few months ago.
Yeah.
And so he's on the mend and hasn't been able to do anything, but he's really leaned into what he's called the off season, because in wrestling you just keep going. There's no breaks or stops. So he's had the off season, and my man's getting he's getting girthy.
Oh, perfect.
Someone's girthy
It's
ring,
great.
he's getting a little girthy.
So I'm 33 now. I've been wrestling since I was 17. All throughout college, I wasn't in fraternities, didn't go to parties. I was wrestling 5 days a week, and I've been doing that for this amount of time. So this is the first time I've ever been off for more than like 3 months. And so I legit, as soon as it happened, I was like, I'll be out a while. I'm gonna just eat. And I'm starting to get a gut. I feel great. But now I gotta start training again. So I gotta get on this 325 grams.
So okay, so when you say it is like year round, take me through it, because everybody always be like, man, football is only 6 months. No. It's year round, and people don't understand that. I don't understand the year round, like just you have to actually wrestle.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's wild. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say year round. Like a lot of people think also that we have like a 1 day a week work week, because they'll see us on TV 1 day a week, but what they don't see is the off days where we're doing things like this. I live in Austin, Texas, flew here to Miami this morning. I was just in Houston a couple days ago. You know what I'm saying? So we're always on, and then on top of that, we have non-televised shows. So Friday we have SmackDown on Fox. You know what I'm saying?
That's what we doing, baby.
Saturday we have a live event in a different town, which you normally have to drive like 4 hours to. Sunday, same thing, driving 4 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Wait.
Yes. Yes.
You guys commute yourselves?
We drive ourselves, man.
We don't have
rent our cars and we drive.
If we're overseas, we have buses and they get hotels, but for domestic, everybody lives in different places. We fly to that first city where we have the show that night, and then you jump in a rental car with whoever you want, and you drive around, call it a loop.
Get out.
Yep. And then we'll go home for a day or two, then back on the road, and it's like that year round. But then, let's say there's holidays. Normally holidays, it's okay, chill at home with the family a little bit. Holidays, we're on double because people are off work and they need some sort of entertainment. So while they're at home with their families, we leave our families to go entertain them, and it just doesn't stop.
Never stops.
Ever.
It just keeps
So
on
right now,
going.
not that I don't want to say you on the sideline or you on the show.
You go ahead.
You taking a moment.
I'm actually not.
He's busier now than he was before because he runs a gaming channel, a very popular gaming channel. Up, down, plug. But
I like the plug.
yeah. But you were just a couple days ago. You were in Houston for the Rumble.
Yes, I went to. So the past 3 weeks, I've pretty much been gone. I've been going to LA a lot to do work. I've been doing stuff with Dungeons and Dragons, tabletop gaming stuff.
For sure.
And then bouncing around on other YouTube channels, other podcasts. Went to the NHL All-Star Game to promote stuff. Then flew to Houston to do Royal Rumble. Then flew here to do this, and I'll go home tomorrow. But me going home tomorrow, I'll be home for 7 days. Just keep going.
Wait, so you single?
No.
Wait,
married, 2 kids.
You something? No, you single. You not married. Y'all saw me pick my phone up right before we started. Hold on, babe. I give me like 10 minutes. I'll call you right back.
I can't text you back. I'm doing something.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
I didn't know it was like that.
Yeah.
That's
My respect.
Bad
Oh, yeah.
boy, you get
I'm single.
Yeah.
And
I'm the one that's single. In case you want to know.
But no, man. We get done with our work schedule. I go home. I sit on the couch. I take naps, and I'm still like I feel like my life is still pretty full. I don't know how y'all do it with kids. I don't like. How was it playing with your career? Like, you're home a little bit more. But you're still very engaged in your career.
Absolutely. It's what kept me going. Honestly, being able to pretty much turn it off for a moment, if you will, where I'm at work, obviously on a strict regimented schedule, and then once I walk out of that facility, it's like I got to turn that off because my kids don't know football like that. You know what I mean? They want daddy. They don't want Greg Jennings. They want daddy. And so I literally would go home, pull in the garage. I would sit in the car for about 5 minutes and kind of decompress, and then walk in the house. And literally, my wife, when the kids were younger, we didn't have help at home. She was like, "Daddy home." And I had to prepare myself for that. Now they're a little older. They just come running to daddy and want to play, want to engage, want to do homework. Daddy, can you help me with my math? I didn't do my math because I was waiting at home. I was waiting for you to come home so you can help me, things like that. So you appreciate it, and you grow to love that. You grow. That's kind of your motivation.
Yeah.
To be successful and to be driven because of what they know, what they've seen, and what you know they need from you, and what you want to provide to them. So yeah, man, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's wild. Everything literally changes. Like, because you hear it so much. Like, once you actually see that baby come out, it's like your whole world is flipped upside down. And so, like, with us traveling and stuff, I know, for me, at least, well, for all three of us, I know, we try to work so hard now so that then we're off and we're at home as much as possible, taking them to games, helping them with all the stuff that they can be helped with. Because I feel like teenage years is where it really is gonna get crazy. Because that's where we get paid back for the stuff we did.
Right. Yeah, I'm starting. My oldest is 13, and I had to leave Sunday from a volleyball tournament that I did not want to leave. Because for work, I get it. This is what we do. We entertain, but home is like, that's where I'm entertained.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And it means more to me. So leaving her, and then they end up plug. I see you, Amaya. Way to win that tournament, volleyball tournament. They won. They got first place. They got to call me and tell me. And then a part of me is like, man, I missed that.
I know.
This is why Daddy does this, so she's afforded opportunities like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all worth it in the end.
Yeah.
HOE.
Oh man, hey,
So
yeah,
we say
HOE, we say
home
home over everything.
Home, I
Sometimes,
like that.
yeah, we might have like a day in between like 2 different cities, and they're like, "Do you want to fly home for 8 hours, or do you want to go straight to the city?" I'm like, "No, I'll fly home for 8 hours, whatever it is, because the same thing, man. If I can go home and number one, relieve my wife from having to deal with the kids,
No
even
doubt.
for 8 hours, she can go out and do whatever she wants to do. I'm happy to do that.
No
you
doubt
know?
about
And then on
it.
top of that, you get to spend that time with the kids. You take them to a sporting event or the indoor sporting facility, and they get
Yeah.
to go around and play with the other kids.
I'm gonna take
them
that.
back into the
There
car.
HOE, right?
HOE,
Just take
baby.
that.
Home
And
over everything.
Honestly, it's in a weird way. So did we come up with that on an overseas tour? I think we've been on the road for a
I think
minute.
it was, yeah.
And, like, our overseas tours used to be like we'd be on the road for like
20
what,
days.
20
20
days.
consecutive days.
Yeah. So we do a different country every day, pretty much. So we do a show, get on a plane or get on a bus, drive 4 hours, 6 hours, or fly 2 hours, like 4 in the morning to get to the next place.